Here's a quick guide to essay writing. Let's imagine that here's our title, our question. Geology is the most significant factor affecting coastal landscapes. To what extent do you agree with the statement? Well, let's start off with the intro. So the intro is really, the purpose of the intro is to show the examiner that I understand the question. So the main thing is to rephrase the question. That's the main job to do. So you could say something like this. This essay will discuss, or will examine, or explore how much geology affects coastal landscapes. Is it geology, or maybe are there other factors that affect coastal landscapes? So you're going to sort of rephrase it, slightly expand on the question, but not do much more. And you want your intro to be 3 or 4 lines maximum. Could be 3 lines. And that's about it for there. Now, there's this idea of dartboard here, and you have to make sure that in your intro, have to really understand the question and the nuance of the question. So look at this question again. Geology is the most significant factor affecting coastal landscapes. Well, the sort of the nuance here is it the most significant factor, or are there other factors? And this is, to what extent do you agree that it is the most significant of many factors? Now, that is what the question is really asking. So you have to make sure that when you rephrase it, you actually rephrase it and you grasp the meaning of it, and you hit the bullseye. This is the bullseye on a dartboard, on an archery target. You've got to make sure that you really understand the precise meaning of the question, and when you rephrase it, you give nuances. Okay, a 16-mark question will take you about 23 minutes to do, and a 33-mark question will take you 45 minutes to do, and that's the time that you have. The structure that we have for an essay in geography is this. Basically, you're going to have your intro, your 3 or 4 lines rephrasing the question. You're going to have your agree paragraph. You're going to have your disagree paragraph. You're going to have your layered argument or arguments, 16-marker, at least 1 layered argument, and 33-marker essay, at least 2 layered arguments. And then you're going to have your judgment, your conclusion. So let's have a look at what goes into the paragraphs. Well, you've got to basically ensure in your paragraphs that you show understanding, which is AO1, knowledge, AO1. You've got to use terminology, which is AO1, and also stats and facts, which is AO1. Very important that we reuse words from the question throughout the whole essay, and therefore we keep recycling, keep reusing those words from the title, from the question in your essay. And that shows that you are really writing a focused piece of writing. So for each paragraph, you're going to use the peel structure. So we're going to say point, and this is really the sentence starter, paragraph starter, the topic sentence of the paragraph. This shows you what's going to go into the paragraph. So here we say geology is a very important factor. Or it could be argued that geology is a very important factor. Okay, so every paragraph needs to have a topic sentence, needs to have a little sentence which says, this is what this paragraph is about. And that helps the examiner and the reader to really get a sense of the purpose of the paragraphs. You're then going to explain and use evidence. Now, I'm not too fussy. Sometimes you might want to do explain first. Other times you might want to use evidence first. But as long as you EE it, that's fine. So you've got to put the evidence in. And this is evidence from your case studies. We're not doing a case study dump. We're going to select carefully the most convincing evidence from the essay to help us. Sorry, the most important evidence from our case studies, and we're going to put them into the essay so that our essay is substantiated. Effectively, evidence helps us to substantiate our argument. You need to first of all know what you're arguing. Then you pull evidence in to add weight, to add substance, to substantiate your points. That's why we use evidence. So therefore, an essay without evidence is weak. It's got no substance to it, and it's not very convincing. So evidence makes your essay more substantive. Explain. You've got to explain it in light of the question. Then you need to evaluate it. So at the end of the paragraph, you're going to have your evaluator. This therefore shows that this evidence shows that geology is therefore very, very important. Now at this point here, I wouldn't include any complex counter arguments in your main paragraphs. Leave that to your later argument. You just want to clear straight here. You want to say, well, my first paragraph, geology is very important because you explain the key points, you made evidence, and just keep it straight. Don't get into any complex arguments there, okay? So that's your structure. Topic sentence at the start, explain evidence in the middle, and then you want to have your evaluate and link back at the end of the paragraph. Effectively, that is your structure there. And this part here where you evaluate and link back, that's where you AO2 it, because you're therefore having evidence conclusions, which is part of AO2. Now, let's have a look over here. So now over here, yeah, this last bit, evaluate and link, that's effectively a mini conclusion. You need to have a mini conclusion at the end of each paragraph. Now, if you look at here, can you see this? This is like a little structure diagram here. That we have an intro. We've got geology as the main factor. Then we have other factors. Okay, and these bits here, that's our sort of AO1 bits, our sort of information. Okay, but at the end of your first paragraph, you're going to have a mini conclusion. That's your AO2. At the end of your other factors paragraph, you're going to have a mini conclusion. That's your AO2. In your later arguments, you're going to have AO2. Your conclusion is AO2. So basically, the AO2 bits come from the evaluation at the end. They come from the later argument, and they come from your conclusion. That's what makes AO2. And then the key facts here go into your conclusion. So your conclusion is going to have the most convincing evidence, the main points, the most convincing arguments on both sides. Then they're going to come to a definitive answer. So let's look at this bit. Let's look at the judgment now. So the final conclusion is again AO2 because you're having conclusions. You've got to answer the question. Include the main arguments, include the most convincing evidence. And that's going to be your final judgment. That all goes into your conclusion. And when you write your conclusion, you're going to have this sort of situation. You can't have an unbalanced essay in conclusion where you say geology is the only factor or geology plays no role. You can't have an extreme agree or disagree. That's unbalanced. You can't sit on the fence and be indecisive. Geology is important, but other factors, they're equally important. No, you've got to either mostly agree, or you have to mostly disagree, but you'll explain why you came to that judgment in your conclusion. So I think that's really it. In your essays for the PPEs, you're going to have something about the North Yorkshire and Louisiana, etc. Okay, hope that's helpful.